you all doing? Today is Friday, February 17th, and I am back for my stitching update. It's been the usual 2 weeks since my last one, so I hope you have all been well. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. My name is Olivia, and this is Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. This is a video podcast where I will typically chat about my cross stitching as well as quilting. However, if quilting is not something you're interested in seeing, I always show it a little bit later on in the video, and I'll let you know when they're going to make their appearance, so that way you can go on to the next Flosstube video. However, in today's video, there's no quilts whatsoever. I really tried to have quilts to show today, or just progress, or just anything, but it just never worked out. And if you're one of my returning subscribers, welcome back. How have you guys all been? For me, pretty much business as usual. I feel like there was a lot of life lived in the 2 weeks, even though nothing super spectacular happened other than the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl. That was amazing. And then the day before that, we celebrated my son Ethan's 17th birthday. And it seems very strange, cuckoo, crazy for him to be 17, because when I think about him, I still, well, both of the kids actually, I just feel like I just want them to be little kids again. And instead, Ethan's, a man child. So I don't know, it's surreal sometimes, because when I walk out into a room, I expect them to, be playing Legos together or Barbies, because Allison used to make her brother play Barbies with her. So I used to, coming out into the room, when I hear them giggling or talking, I just immediately think, oh, they're out there playing with Barbies or Legos, and then they're not. That makes me kind of sad. But yeah, so I feel kind of bad about the quilting, that I just really did not get a chance to work on any of it. Again, I've never tried harder to work on something, and every single time I would get ready or sit down or plan to do it, something just always came up. I thought I would start off today's video by going over some questions that I got from my previous video. I do have one quilting question that I kind of threw in with all of these, since I don't have a quilting segment today. Before I get started on the questions, I know I'm going to get asked about the quilt that is hanging up behind me. And so typically in a normal video, any quilting or anything like that, I'll talk about it in the quilting segment. But I had a lot of people ask what the name of the quilt was hanging up behind me. A good rule of thumb is, if you're ever curious about the quilts that are in the background of the video, to stick around through the quilting segment, because when they first appear, I do talk about them a little bit. And then down below in the description box, I do list everything that I show and talk about, including what's hanging up behind me, in the description box down below. So if you're ever curious about anything, names, counts of linen, threads, anything like that, it's always going to be listed down below. And in the very bottom will be the quilting. So I kind of do it like I do my video. So you'll have the cross stitching first, and then the quilting will follow at the end. So that's always a great place to check if you are interested. But the quilt hanging up behind me is called the Civil War Diary Quilt, and I cannot remember the name of the designer. I will scroll it down in here, but it is still available, because I've had some people say that the pattern is out of print, and it's still very much available. It comes in a book. I cannot take any credit for assembling the quilt blocks, only assembling the quilt. My friend actually assembled all of the quilt blocks, and then she sent it to me. So I got to put it all together, and now I get to enjoy it forever. So the first question I got was about the birds that you can hear chirping in the background of the video. A few minutes ago, they were really going crazy. So I don't know if the previous video segment caught that, or if that's right when I paused it. But they are my daughter Allison's birds. She has 2 parakeets, and they are named Mick and Taffy. And they get very loud this time of the day, because the outside birds go in the bushes that are in the front side of the house, and so they're chirping and all of that, and then Allison's birds are communicating with them. Also, if you just hear them go, they're silent, and then all of a sudden they just start squawking, it's probably because Freddie has made his way into the bedroom, and even though he can't do anything, he can't get to them, they still like to let the house know that there's an intruder in the bedroom. Also, you probably will be hearing the chewing because Freddie is down here next to me and he's chewing on his bone. And he likes to basically carry it around the table and behind the camera as I am doing the videos, so you will hear him. Next question is, do I serge the edges of my linen? And I do not. I don't have a serger. So if you see that they are serged, it's probably because they came that way from 1-2-3 Stitch. My next question is how did someone from Oregon become a Kansas City Chiefs fan? So I have been a fan of theirs since I was in high school. And I remember that I was probably maybe 15 because we lived here, we lived next door. So it was after my grandfather had passed away and we lived next door. And I remember, because I used to read a lot, and pretty much when I was done with my chores, you could find me in my bedroom reading all the time. I mean, I was a pretty boring teenager. I didn't do any of the normal, get in trouble that most teenagers do. So I think I had got in trouble because I wasn't hanging out enough with the family. So as punishment, although I could still read, I basically had to go sit out in the living room. And it just so happened that my dad, who was the only family member sitting out there after I had gotten lectured about not being part of the family, my dad was the only one out there, and he just happened to have a football game on. He doesn't typically watch sports or anything like that, and I don't really remember him watching a lot of sports growing up, but occasionally he would have a game of something on, and it just so happened he was watching a football game, and it was a Chiefs game. They were playing at home, and I remember being constantly distracted from my book, and it was the sound of like the fans, and they were just really amazing. They were so loud, and they used to put like the little decibel leaders on the bottom of the screen, and it was always in the red, and the football players from the visiting teams could never hear the plays being called, and the fans just roared, and you could see that the energy of the fans and the players, it really like motivated the players, and they were just amazing. And I just remember watching them, and I just loved the enthusiasm of the players, of the fans, just the way that they played. I loved it. And then I found out they were from Missouri, and my grandfather was from Missouri, Kansas. I have family that lives there, distant family that probably doesn't know I exist, but I have distant cousins, but my family was from there. And so I just kind of felt that connection, and I've been a fan ever since. I remember when I went to work at the same place that my husband worked at. I walked in one day and I had my Kansas City Chiefs hoodie on, and he's like, "The Chiefs?" Because he is a Chargers fan, so we're in the same division. So there's definitely been a lot of, ribbing each other whenever we play each other, and then of course when we win the division. But anyway, that's kind of the long story of how I became a Kansas City Chiefs fan. The next question is, explain how I do my rotation, and with having more whips going, will I change it? So how I do my rotation is I have 2 projects, Elizabeth Furniss and Houses of Hawker Hollow. Those 2 are my focus pieces each month. We have assignments that we do. So in the case of Elizabeth Furniss, Yvette will usually kind of tell us what page we need to work on, or how much of a page we need to work on for that month. And then for Houses of Hawker Hollow, we just need to do a fourth of it. And then once I have those done, I also will be having a new start over the weekend that also will be assignment as well, and that is Florence Mary Dickinson. So I'll have that to show in my next video, but that one also will have an assignment. So once I get my assignments done for the month, then I will just rotate through my other projects. I might decide to just go in order. So I will look at what I did the previous month, and then I will just kind of go in order from how I did the previous month. If I feel like I'm getting close to a finish on something, I might bump it up and work on that. But I typically will work on things 3 to 5 days, just depending on what it is. And, you know, if it's an assignment, if it's not an assignment, but typically I try to work on everything about 5 days. Okay, and then the last question is, what do I use to attach my craft paper to the backs of my frames? So in my last video, I showed 3 framed finishes, and then I shared the backing because I had figured out how to give them a more professional finish. And I used Elmer's Craft Bond Extra Strength glue stick. And I got this from Amazon. I think it came in like in a 4-pack, but it works great. All right, so over the past 2 weeks, I worked on a variety of projects. I would say that it was a fun 2 weeks, and I definitely was able to work on everything that I have started except for Halloween at Hollyberry Farm, which I do plan on getting back to very, very soon. My first project is Spooky Countdown by the Primitive Hare. So I'm stitching this one with my friend Yvette, and this has been my morning stitch. So I've been rotating between this one and Keeper of the Pens. So usually I will try to do, if I can, during the week I will try to get 2 blocks done. This week it didn't quite work out that way. I lost Monday and Tuesday. I didn't work on anything either one of those mornings. So I got back to this on Wednesday, and this is my progress. So I am stitching this on a piece of 36 count jack-o'-lantern by XJUDesigns, and I'm stitching it with the called for DMC threads, 1/2. I love this so much. This has been so much fun to work on. So this morning I was able to finish the cauldron, and then there's a little bit of smoke rising up from the cauldron. I just have a little bit left to go, and then this block will be done. So I love it. It's going to be so fun to have this done at Halloween time. I cannot wait. So much fun. I did have some comments about the boo that's right here. It's missing a spider. I do not like spiders, and I will not stitch them. And one time I was working on something Halloween related, and I said it in the video that I don't like stitching spiders, I don't like spiders, and somebody said I was silly. We all have our phobias. For me, I don't like spiders. We get some big ones here, and I don't like them, and I don't want to stitch them. I don't mind stitching a web, but I don't like stitching spiders at all. Okay, so the next project I was working on was from Keeper of the Pens by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. So in my last video, I showed the finish of the sewing bird, and I had a little bit on this small up here, which is called Needle and Thread. So here's the sewing bird, and then down below is needle and thread. So I was able to finish it last week, and I'm not going to fully finish any of these until I have them all done. I love working on this. So I am stitching it on a piece of, well, this one was stitched on a piece of a 36 count Vintage Counry Mocha, and I am using the called for threads. A question that I had was about attaching the beads. So on this one, there are beads right here, and they were curious if I had used a specialty needle. So usually I will use a beading needle when I am attaching beads to a cross stitch piece. But in the case of these beads, they were able to fit over the eye of my needle, and so I just used the needle that I stitched with. And the beads come from Hobby Lobby. Then, since I had finished needle and thread, I went ahead and started the next one, which is called Threads of Time. And here it is. So I stitched this on a scrap piece of 36 count Legacy. And again, I'm stitching it with the called for threads. This one, it does have beads attached. And I love it, love it, love it. So pretty. So somewhere on one of the next, I think there's 3 left to go. There's definitely 2, and then there's an option for a 6th one. So there's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5. And then there's a 6th option, which is this one right here, that in the back. So it's got, you just stitch the little tomato and then you attach buttons. So if I think I am going to stitch that one, but when I do, I will use this same piece of linen. So 4 of them will have the Vintage Country, and then 2 of them will have the piece of Legacy Scrap. So love this one. Can't wait to get back to it. Hopefully next week I will be able to, but if not, it'll be the week after. So I love it. Okay, my next project was Elizabeth Furniss 1836 by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. So I've been stitching this with my friends Yvette, Kristie Crosshatch Quilts, and Becky Socks For Mum. And our February assignment was to complete page 2, which was the cartouche, and this little bit of border up here. We had already been working on the tree from the month before, so we just needed to complete page 2 and then drop down and work on the grass that was in this section here. We just needed to get halfway. I think I'm pretty close. I was having, once I hit the grass, I felt like I started stitching in slow motion, so it was a little bit of a challenge for me. And I got to where I think was halfway. So our March's assignment, I believe, is going to be to finish page 10, which is the grass below the house. But here's my progress. So I'm stitching this on a piece of 40 count Bee's Knees by Seraphim Fabrics, and I am using DMC thread, and I'm stitching it 1/2. I love this one. It's so beautiful. I think the grass is going to be, it's going to be my challenge because there's a lot of it. I mean, that Elizabeth, she was definitely a teacher's pet. But it's a beautiful, beautiful sampler. I am looking forward to getting back to it in March. And if some extra time opens up the rest of this month before March begins, I might go ahead and work a little bit more on the grass. But I love it, love it, love it. So I am not stitching the verse that's at the top. And I'm also not stitching Elizabeth's name in the cartouche. Instead, I will be personalizing this with my great-grandparents' names. And in the cartouche in the middle, I will put the year that they were married. So I think it'll be awesome. And I'm not going to do any of the charting of their names yet. So I'll do their full names. So for my grandfather, you know, I'll do his first, middle, last, and then date of birth, date of death. And then my great-grandmother, I will put her first name. I don't know if I know her middle name, but then her maiden name, and then date of birth, date of death. And then the date that they were married in the middle. So I will wait until I get the border stitched across the top and down the side before I start charting all of that out. But something that I'm toying about doing on their piece, so when I'm working on it, I will still be working on it in May. I'll probably be working on this for a long time, but I will be working on it during the month of May. And I'm debating about somewhere on here removing a motif and putting in King Charles monogram, because he's going to be king. He's going to be crowned king the beginning of May. And, you know, whenever there's like those type of events, I kind of like to have a memory of it. But when my great-grandparents were alive, they would have seen Elizabeth become queen. They would have seen her, you know, get married, get crowned queen. After her father died, they would have seen her or heard about her father, you know, because I don't think they would have had a radio. So they would have read about it in the paper or heard about it over the wireless. So, you know, they would have heard about the abdication of Queen Elizabeth's uncle, her father becoming king, and then her becoming queen. And then here I am. I knew her as being queen, and then I see her son being crowned king. So I've been thinking about maybe somewhere, and I don't know if it's going to be on this piece yet, but because it's one of the ones I know I'll be working on in May, I've been toying with the idea of putting his monogram on here, because I have seen there's a couple of different designers who have already sort of charted that out. So it's something I'm toying with. I haven't quite decided yet, but I'm thinking about it. Last video, I talked a little bit about how Becky, Socks for Mom, had made all of us some thread bling for our threads for Elizabeth and for houses at Hawker and Hollow, because we're working on it together. And she took the house from Elizabeth and she made it into some thread bling. So these are the threads, the DMC threads I'm using for Elizabeth. And there is the little thread bling that she made. It has a big giant tree on it because we were working on the big giant tree at the time. And then she also put the year that we started her, which was we started her last October. So yeah, here is all the threads I'm using. And then she did the same thing for houses at Hawker and Hollow, and I have those. So here is the thread bling. And she picked one of the houses, and it's also got a little tree as well. So I love it. And then these are the threads I'm using for the first block of Houses of Hawker and Hollow. So my next one is Houses of Hawker and Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. So I am working on this block here, and our goal for the first block was to, we broke it up into fours. So we started it January 1st, or in January, and then the first block will take roughly 4 months to complete. And our goal for this year is just to complete 3 of them. So just these 3. So it's going to be a very long, slow project, but I am loving working on it. I'm just glad to have a Hawker and Hollow in the rotation because I love them. So before I show you my progress, one thing I did was I changed the house color. So the called for NPI, you use 2 different colors, so it's a brick house, and the NPI that was called for was like a mustard color, and then it had white bricks. And I did like the look of that, but I liked the more mustard salt box look. And when I was working on Autumn at Hawker and Hollow, I always get them mixed up. Autumn at Hawker and Hollow, when I was working on that one, there was a house in there that I changed the color to a mustard colored house, because there's a house that is about a mile from me, and it's this beautiful shade of mustard. It's a salt box, and it's so pretty, and I love driving past it whenever I get the chance. Usually I can see it from the road, so my husband's driving, he's going by really fast, and so I just get a peek at it. But I love the color, I love the house, and I decided that on my houses, the Houses of Hawker and Hollow, I decided that the first block, since I wasn't really loving because I'm using DMC, so you know, they tried to match it, the DMC to the MPI, and it's more of like a rusty, it is a mustard, but it's a little bit on the dark side, so it reads a little bit more cheddar than mustard, and I wanted my house to be a mustard color, so I changed it, and here it is. So I got my 4th of the block done. I was supposed to there are 2 lines of words, and I need to rechart the bottom because I want to put my name and then the year that I started it. So, and since I wasn't going to be able to do the bottom line, I just decided to do part of the outline of the house. So I decided to do mine all one color of mustard. The trim is a cream DMC, and then the door is one of the blue colors. I like it. I think it looks really good. I think it's definitely what I was going for. I'm hoping it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb because I know it was supposed to be a brick house, but I just really wanted it just to kind of reflect that house that I always see and that I love. So I think it's pretty close. I'm gonna wait till I get, well, obviously I'm not gonna unpick this. So this is the color it's going to be forever, but I'm hoping once I get a little bit more of it filled in and get the roof on and just kind of have the block be complete, that it will just really look very nice, be exactly what I'm going for. So I'm stitching it on a piece of 40 count Heritage with DMC threads, and I'm stitching it 1/2. So sometime between now and the beginning of March, I will go ahead and chart out the bottom line. So when I pick it up again and work on it in March, I will finish the bottom line, and then I think we're supposed to work on the second story of the house. So looking forward to get back to that. It's so much fun to work on. I did have a brand new start. So this one ended up being a Valentine's Day start, which was totally, that wasn't even in the, it wasn't even in the plan. When I woke up Valentine's Day morning, I had no intention of starting this. It just sort of happened. I had finished working on Elizabeth the night before, and I was talking to Yvette. Have no idea how the subject came up, but for some reason I just felt really strongly about working on this one. And I pulled it in the house because I thought, well, maybe when I, maybe next month, maybe I can, think about, fitting it in at some point. And Yvette just told me to go for it. So I did. And that is All Joys for Thine by Blackbird Designs. So I've seen a lot of people work on this. I've seen a lot of finishes. I've seen a lot of sampler walls where this is snuggled up with some big, beautiful sampler. And I really, really, really have wanted to work on it for a very long time. So I started it. And I love it. It's not an overly big piece, which was kind of another factor in its favor because I have enough big projects. So I've worked on this one for a couple of evenings, and this is how far I have gotten. So I'm stitching it on a piece of 40 count Vintage Lentil with the called for threads, and I'm stitching it 1/2. I love it. So I just had this piece of scrap linen that I think Dora had sent me like a year or so ago, and I was looking for the perfect project because this is a Lakeside Linen. So I was trying to find the perfect project to stitch on it, and it was just the right size. So I was very, very happy. One thing is I made a goof on this tree down here. It has 2 different colors of green you're supposed to stitch in it. But the problem is the symbols looked very close to each other. So one was an X and one was a plus. And I wasn't really paying that good of attention until I got up here. And then I quickly saw that it was a plus and not a cross. Went oh poop, but just decided to roll with it. I'm just gonna have one that's gonna be all one color, and that's okay. I'll just make sure on this other side to do the same thing because I was not picking that. So I think I have this in the rotation for a couple more evenings, maybe 1, possibly 2. And then it will just rotate after that. So I can't wait to get back to it. I love it. I love working on it. It's such a beautiful piece. And I am very, very glad that I started it. And it's just kind of funny that it just happened to be on Valentine's Day. And the last one is out of the book Sarah's House by Blackbird Designs, and it is Flock of Friends. So I started this one last month sometime. And I think I just had a little bit of a start. I think I had all of this done. I think I might have done, yeah, I did all of the border, and then I came back and I was working down here. So I've come a little bit farther since then, but I have to tell you guys a funny story. So I stitched on this piece, and this is totally football related, which cracks me up. when the Chiefs were playing the championship game. So it was to go to the Super Bowl. They were playing against the Bengals, and I was stitching on this piece while watching that game. And for some unknown reason, I did the bricks in the wrong color. So I was supposed to, so the bricks are in what was supposed to go around the bricks. And what's around the bricks now is what was supposed to be the bricks. But I did not realize it until I got all the way up here, and then I just happened to glance down and look at what went around them, and I saw that that was supposed to be what the brick color was. Very perturbed at myself that I did that, but I was not ripping it out and I was not starting over. So I just decided to outline the bricks in the darker color. I think it'll look just fine. And it'll definitely help to make the house sort of pop up a little bit more than it already does, because I feel like it's blending a little bit. But it's beautiful in person. I can see it just fine in person. The colors are just beautiful earth tones. I absolutely love it. They really remind me of Anne Priest, which I think I did mention that in my last video, but it definitely gives me those nostalgic vibes of working on Anne Priest. And I love it. And if there was room, I think I would put this next to Anne Priest, but I would have to take Mary Bell and put her someplace else, and she looks perfect right where she's at. So yeah, this one I am really enjoying working on, and I can't wait to have it done. So I plan on working on this one next week. And I'm hoping, I might just keep it in the rotation until it's done. We'll see how it goes. But there's not a tremendous amount left to go. So once the house is done, it'll just be some doodads, some flowers, some birds, the moon. Yes, the moon. And then that basket that's on top of the house. So I love this so very much. So I am stitching this on a piece of, I believe, 36 or 40 count Vintage Country Mocha. I'll have to look it up. Vintage Country Mocha, and I keep saying I'm using the called for threads. The called for threads are silks, and I am using the overdyed conversion that's listed on the chart. So I'm using all of these over here. I had somebody ask me that, if I was using the silks, and I realized that I was not, and that I had misspoke. So I am using overdyed threads, and I'm stitching it 1/2. Love it, love it. Love it, love it. I did get a little bit of happy mail over the past couple of weeks. I received a package from the Fat Quarter Shop, and all of these items are available now on the Fat Quarter Shop's website, and I will put a link to the Fat Quarter Shop down below. First item that they sent me was the Prim Village Enamel Keychain Charm by Lori Holt. Isn't that cute? It'd be perfect on a project bag. The next one is a pink Be in My Bonnet needle minder by Lori Holt. Super, super cute. Then a Gingham Love Thread Bling, also by Lori Holt of Be in My Bonnet. You know how I love me some thread bling. They also sent me a quilt pattern called Luminaries by Nova Birchfield of It's So Emma. So pretty. Pretty, pretty. A cross stitch pattern called Cornelius, and it says number 1 of 12, and it's the Chicken Club, and it's designed by Lori Holt, Be in My Bonnet. So I'm guessing there are 12 of them, or will be. Cute, cute, cute. Lady Claus cross stitch pattern. This one was featured in the Stitch Quarterly back in around December. Super cute. There are Sweetheart Ornaments, includes 12 cute designs, and it is designed by It's So Emma. They are really cute. So if you had like a seasonal tree, it'd be really, really cute. I mean, it's really, really cute anyway, but it would be really, really cute to do those as a little seasonal tree. Just because I love seasonal trees. Stackables January, and this one is also a cross stitch by It's So Emma. That one's really cute. Cute, cute for winter. Be Mine. This is Simply Signs Pattern Series #1 by It's So Emma. Very cute. So once again, all of these items are available now on the Fat Quarter Shop's website. I'll put a link to their website down below, and thank you so much to the Fat Quarter Shop for sending those items my way. Next little bit of happy mail came from Janine. She sent me this beautiful card, sweet note inside. She had sent me a note a week or so ago. She had made me something and she wanted to send it to me, and it arrived yesterday. So I had made a comment that I was not going to be able to stitch any Valentines for myself for the trench bowl this year, so she decided to stitch one for me, and she sent it to me and then told me to fully finish it however I would like for the trench bowl. And I absolutely love it. It's just so adorable. And I'm gonna finish it this weekend so I can get it in the trench bowl and enjoy it for the, all the way through to the end of February, because I do leave everything up until the beginning of March. So it is so sweet that she stitched that for me. And she also sent me a skein of DMC 610, which I use a ton of this color. So thank you so much, Janine. I love it. Love it, love it. This next little bit of happy mail absolutely blew me away. It was so very sweet and kind and generous, and I couldn't believe it when I opened up the box. But I got a box from Megan, and she sent me this birthday card. She apologized for it being belated, but I'm okay celebrating my birthday year round. It's fine. But she sent me this card, and then she sent me a Fat Quarter bundle of Blackbird Designs Threads That Bind, so this came out around the time Adamstown did-ish, and I wanted to get this bundle, but then I saw Adamstown, and so I went between the two of them, and I had to decide Adamstown. And I was sad that I had to pass this one up, but I wasn't able to buy both. And so the fact that I now have it, it just blew me away. And I'm gonna find the perfect quilt to make something with it so that they can all be together, and I can enjoy it forever. It would just, thank you so very much, Megan. I have already talked to her, and it was just so very generous of her. She also bought a bundle, so I'm excited to see what quilt she makes with hers, but it just totally blew me away. Just the generosity of you guys just blows me away all the time. So this next little bit of happy mail came from a friend of mine who wishes to remain anonymous, but she had been going through her stash and decided to pass some of it my way so that I could offer it up as future giveaways. And I've already been in contact with her. She also told me to keep anything that I would like. So there is 2 things that I'm gonna keep. But the first thing is Home Is Where My Stitching Is by the Primitive Hare. So she sent this, and it's fully kitted. Totally keeping it. And I told her there was a couple things I'm keeping. She was totally fine with that. The next is also fully kitted, and it is called Cinnamon Stick Christmas. I can't read Roman numerals. Santa and His Toys. So this one is also fully kitted. It comes with the Big Giant Ada. I'm sure it has a name. And then it comes with all of the threads. So that was so generous for her to send that. The next is Merry Christmas Season Greetings and a gift from, can't read that last part, the sticker's right over it, but it's a stocking. So it does come with a stocking, and then you cross stitch. There's 4 different things that you can cross stitch on it. Boo to You by Stitching with the Housewives. Snow Bells by Debbie Mum. So this is a kit. Sweetheart Tiny Tin by Lori Birmingham Designs, and also as a kit. So cute. This is Thanksgiving Sampler by Heart and Hand. And so it comes with the linen, and then there's the button. The next one is A Pack of 6 Fat Men by Lizzie Kate. And this is what you make with it. That is very cool. So it has all of those. And then she also included the entire Farmhouse Christmas series by Little House Needleworks. Sew by Row by Lori Holt. Little House Needleworks Needleworker. Hope that's not upside down. It's not. Just My Type by It's So Emma. Stitchy Stars by Lori Holt. Lizzie Kate ABC Crazy. Mill Hill Charm Stocking Ornaments. So it is a kit. Spring Bouquet My Pad. And it is also a kit. There is this wooden box, and inside it has the directions to Stitch a Bird. So cute. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. Then Buttons and Beads, Christmas Village by Mill Hill. And someone once upon a time here on Flosstube was stitching, I think, the whole Christmas series on one piece of fabric. It's a kit. And Bee in My Bonnet Stitch Cards Set F. And another Winter Holiday Mill Hill. Very cute. A kit. Holiday 2 by Mill Hill. It's a kit. And this is Snow Crystals Mill Hill Ornament. It's a kit. And Winter Holiday by Mill Hill, and it's also a kit. And then she also included the big book of favorite scrap quilts, which I did not have this book, and I told her I would be keeping it. And while I was flipping through it, I came across a very familiar quilt, and it definitely made me chuckle. And that is, which it would be kind of funny if it was still hanging up behind me, but it is Cut the Mustard. So if you're looking for Cut the Mustard and you can't find the Tried and True book, it is in this one. So the favorite scrap quilts, the big book of favorite scrap quilts. So love it. So thank you so very much. And the vast majority of these will be future upcoming giveaways. All right, so in my last video, I did have a giveaway, and thank you so much to everybody who played along. The question that I had asked was, what was the last song that you listened to? And it was funny because while I was editing my video, I got to thinking, I wonder if anybody's going to say that the theme song at the beginning of my video was the last song that they had heard. I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be funny? Anyway, 2 of you did, which totally cracked me up, and it definitely made me laugh. Because that would have been the last song you guys heard. Anyway, I didn't even think about it. But of course, yeah, technically I would have been editing the video, so that would have been the last song I heard was my theme music. Anyway, it was funny and I laughed, but I loved reading through all of the songs that you guys had listened to. I love that so many of us listen to the same music. I'm very eclectic when it comes to music. I listen to a variety of things, and it just really kind of depends on my mood. But yeah, if you looked at my playlist, you would probably wonder what the heck. Because it's just all sorts of stuff. Anyway, I really enjoyed reading through all of your guys' comments, and thank you for playing. If you are a winner, what you will need to do is contact me via email, and I will put all of my contact information down below in the description box. Get a hold of me via email, send me your address, and I will get your prize out in the mail to you just as soon as I can. Number 1 was for Samplings Number 1 by Brenda Gervais, and the winner is Linda Spost. So it's S-P-O-S-T. Number 2 was for the Lizzie Kate Spring Smalls, and the winner is Cindy Rudder. Number 3 is for the Bloom Chockful by Hands On Designs, and the winner is, I think it's L. Jones. It's either E.L. Jones or E.I. Jones. Number 4 was for the Star Spangled Street by Primrose Cottage Stitches, and the winner is Molly McMaker. And the last one was for the Farm Life, and the winner is Cindy Flinchbaugh. So congratulations to all of the winners. Again, if you can get a hold of me via email, send me your address. I will get your prizes out in the mail to you very soon. Today's video also has a giveaway, and what you will need to do in order to be eligible to win the giveaway is, I would love it if you were a subscriber or subscribe to the channel. If you are not, like the video and answer the question down below. There are 5 items up for grabs, so you will just need to indicate somewhere in your comment between 1 and 5 of which items you are interested in winning, and then in my next video I will announce the giveaway winners. Number 1 is Cornelius from the Chicken Club by Lori Holt. So if you're interested in this one, it is number 1. Number 2 is the Luminaries quilt pattern by It's So Emma. So if you're interested in this one, it is number 2. Number 3 is the Be Mine Simply Signs pattern by It's So Emma. So if you're interested in this one, it is number 3. Number 4 is the Stackables January by, did I say this? Number 4. This is number 4. Number 4 is the Stackables January by It's So Emma. So if you're interested in this, it is number 4. And number 5 is the Sweet Heart Ornaments, also by It's So Emma. So if you're interested in this one, it is number 5. So the question that you will need to answer down below is, so this time of the year, I'm starting to think about spring, and I'm starting to think about flowers. And here, it's winter here. Spring is our next season. I also know on the other side of the world, you guys are going from summer into fall. But with the changing of seasons, you start thinking about different things. And one of the things I've been thinking about is flowers. So my question to all of you is, if you were a flower, which one would you be and why? So if I was a flower, I'm pretty positive I would be a hydrangea. I absolutely love them. I'm planning on planting some new hydrangea bushes this summer. I have been saving my money so that I can go and purchase them in the spring, and I'm excited to get them into the beds, and I'm excited to get flowers going. I've also decided to start some flowers from seed this year. So instead of buying them at the nursery, I'm going to try my hand at starting my own. So I have a lot of really exciting plans for spring and summer. I'm hoping it'll all come together. But when I think of flowers, I think of hydrangeas, especially the white ones. So where the hydrangeas are going to go are on the side of the house. There's a bed on the side of the house, and when I take Freddie out to go to the bathroom in the summer, and it's kind of getting, the sun is starting to go down, and it's been a really warm summer day, and I have this vision of these white hydrangeas in that dying light of the day, with the bugs that are just kind of flitting around, the birds that are getting those last little bit of food for the evening. And I can just picture them, those bushes, just these white hydrangeas in a row. There will be other stuff down below them, but just seeing them, I can just picture them in my mind. And so when I think of summer and I think of flowers, I think of hydrangeas. So let me know down below, what is, if you could be a flower, what would you be? I would be a hydrangea. Let me know down below what you would be. Indicate which items that you're interested in winning, and in my next video I will announce the winners. The plan for me will be to be back in 2 weeks, so I appreciate you guys so much if you've stuck around for this length of time. I really appreciate all of those who subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave comments below, share the video. I really appreciate you guys so very, very much. If you're not a subscriber yet, I hope maybe you might consider subscribing and, you know, maybe hitting the notification bell. That way you will be notified every time I put up a video, which is every 2 weeks. Yeah, I think right now I'm just blathering. So I will see you guys in 2 weeks. I hope you have a great end to your February. If you would like to see what I'm up to in between my videos, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, or I do have a Facebook page, which is called Pumpkin Hollow Quilting, and I will put a link to both of those down below in the description box. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.